So before I begin, मैं भूल जाऊंगा. एक तो on page number 8 of Hindu, there is an article regarding a wildlife sanctuary. Man-animal conflict has ended in the Satyavedu range in the Chittoor district. So you do that. So in that second paragraph, if you read Satyavadu range in the Chittoor district in Andhra Pradesh. Second, the hillocks from the Narayanvam to the Satyavadu hold a considerable vegetation to support spotted deer. However, their presence is limited to the few pockets close to the Telugu Ganga Canal on the eastern side of XYZ and in Kambakam forest. Here underline karo, Kambakam forest. Satyavadu and Kambakam. Fine, and वहाँ पे लिखना this is the region of tropical deciduous forest. आज का paper is very light. Then in the surrounding news article there is Nagarjuna Sagar reservoir. You should know which river. What is the river? Krishna. And the photo of which dam? Sri Sailam Dam. Remember this even for your optional. Sri Sailam Dam. Krishna River, Andhra Pradesh obviously. And बाकी के इसमें आज चारों editorials are important. Page number 10 is important, but an overview understanding the nuclear doctrine. And सबसे ज़्यादा important is page number 11. A law for those who testify. Witness protection scheme of the बाकी के आज के पेपर में कुछ नहीं है. So I guess we stopped at the Bajada. What is the Bajada? I am quickly revising it. The alluvial fan between the in the intermont region. Intermont means between the two mountains. It consists of the coarse sediments, and as we go down, the coarseness of the sediments goes on becoming less. Obvious है slope replacement. Wash slope में यही property है that upper part of the wash slope is coarse and the lower part is less coarse and the coarseness goes on decreasing. So this entire part is what is known as an Bajada. So Bajada का mountain region that is along the Piedmont zone. See, this is intermount zone. From the foot of a mountain, only the plain region is what is known as an, inside the Bajada is Balsan, and inside the Balsan there is a lake which is known as an playa. Fine. And thus the entire landform will be over the period of time reduced. पहले तो scrap बनेगा and then parallel retreat से ये reduce हो जाएगा, and this is what we will call it as a pediplenation kinka. Fine. The last part of this is, can I rub this part? I guess the question has come only once regarding the arid cycle of erosion of W.M. Davis. Fine. What will be the introduction? You know so many things about Davis Hub. What will be the introduction? What? Cyclical development of landforms from youth to mature stage is the normal cycle of erosion. What happens in the youthful stage? Quickly revising the normal cycle. तो समझ में आएगा डेविसियन का this vertical down cutting यहाँ पे भी होगा. Will be formation of a V-shaped valley. Therefore, the entire landform will initially there is a rapid upliftment and then the landform will start cutting. Depth of the valley will be maximum in the late or early youthful stage. In the late youthful या early mature जब the landform river will cut to the base level. ठीक है? यहाँ पे the landform का height will be valleys will be very deep in the youthful stage only. Getting it? फिर over the period of time rivers will start cutting the landform, but this rivers will start cutting the landform only when they are present. The rivers will carry the sediments and the sediments will quickly form a bajada. Fine? Over the period of time, when the rivers, जब भी वो flow करती है, they will then take away the fine sediments and form a playa lake. But unlike the other cycle of erosion, जहाँ पे the river is continuously eroding the landform and making it a normal stage, यहाँ पे next rainy season में इसकी height कम होगी. फिर ज़्यादा बजाड़ा बड़ा बनेगा, playa बड़ा बनेगा, and ultimately at the end part, this hills will be eroded because there will be huge bajada or huge paddy plain. It does not pass through the cyclical stage कि youthful stage में ऐसे ऐसे होगा, mature stage में ये होगा, old age में ऐसे होगा, नहीं. इसमें सब में वही चीज़ें हैं, that is the landform का height will keep on reducing. Fine. So then after that I will ask you a question. जो UPSC का past year question है, that is the differentiate. UPSC ने अभी तक नहीं पूछा arid cycle of erosion. उसने पूछा है differentiate between the arid and the normal cycle of erosion, which is difficult. Fine. Arid cycle of erosion is very easy. So the cyclical concept of the cycle of erosion, the cyclical concept of the cycle of erosion was applied by Davis in 1905. Was applied by Davis in 1905 to the deserts of southwest USA, to the desert of southwest USA. This modified form of his fluvial cycle is known as arid cycle of erosion. Is known as arid cycle of erosion. Is known as an arid cycle of erosion. Next point. Here, the combined action of water and wind. Here, the combined action of water and wind plays an important role. Plays an important role to reduce the landform. To reduce the landform. Next, initially the relief is dominated by मेरे को जहाँ जहाँ आपको लगता है कि it is slightly different, tell me after each and every point. Fine. Initially the relief is dominated by rapid upliftment, full stop. This relief has numerous block mountains caused due to faulting. Same point या different point? Different point. This is the first difference point. वहाँ पे उसने folding की बात की थी, यहाँ पे he is talking about faulting. Fine. This relief has numerous block mountains caused due to faulting. The climate during this period is semi-arid. Same point, different point. Different point. कौन सा cycle of erosion दे रहा है? Arid. And he's considering the climate to be semi-arid. Because तब तक तो river होगी ही नहीं. If you consider arid cycle of erosion, हो ही नहीं सकता arid cycle. There has to be semi-arid climate, and then only arid cycle of erosion will occur. Fine. Next point. Youthful stage. Youthful stage. See, in the question, remember 2 points. Arid cycle of erosion, you have to write Davis. Don't write King. You will get 0 marks there. Fine. If the question comes arid cycle of erosion, you will have to write Davis. King का specifically पूछेंगे King cycle या फिर Savannah cycle of erosion. Savannah cycle of erosion means LC King या फिर the King cycle of erosion. Epigean cycle of erosion. Epigean cycle of erosion means King. Question आ चुका है Epigean cycle पे? Yes. Youthful stage. The initial landform of block mountains is surrounded by numerous valleys. कौन सी valleys है? Block mountains के साथ कौन सी valleys होंगी? Rift valleys. They're getting it? This is again a point of difference. वहाँ पे the landform was very very flat. यहाँ पे he is saying there is a block mountain, rift valley. Block mountain, rift valley. क्यों उसको rift valley बनानी पड़ रही है यहाँ पे in the initial stage? Because जब तक rift valley होगी नहीं तब तक weathering will not occur. तब तक mass movement will not occur. If there is a rift valley, अब उसको आगे का cycle is very easy. The rocks will break, they will fall down. There will be formation of a bajada. Fine. Next point. Unlike the riverine cycle, unlike the normal cycle, there is no independent drainage system. There is no independent drainage system. There is no independent drainage system. Rivers are, full stop के बाद, rivers are seasonal. Rivers are seasonal. Which originate during the rainy season. Which originate during the rainy season. Originate during the rainy season. ये लिखने की ज़रूरत नहीं. Seasonal rivers is more than enough. Fine. High evaporation and sudden rainfall. High evaporation and sudden rainfall causes intense physical weathering. Underline the word intense physical weathering. ये कौन सा weathering की बात कर रहा है? Block disintegration causes intense physical weathering. Should I repeat? High evaporation and intense rainfall causes intense physical weathering. Rocks are in the expanded state due to evaporation, due to heat. Evaporation के कारण most of the salt in the rocks are pulled away. Therefore, pores do not have any water. As the pores do not have any water, बीच में हवा चली जाती है. हवा चली जाती है तो pores will start collapsing, rock structure starts becoming weak, and बारिश आते ही the entire rock structure disintegrates. आगे का आपको पता है क्या कहेगा वो आगे? These rocks will fall down and accumulate at the bottom of a foot of a mountain. So next point, the weathering of the rocks. The weathering of the rocks. उसने weathering की बात की थी in normal cycle of erosion? No. And specifically physical weathering तो कहाँ ही नहीं था. The weathering of the rocks causes accumulation of the debris. Causes accumulation of the debris towards the basins or towards the valleys. Ultimately lowering the landform. Ultimately lowering the landform. Ultimately lowering the landform. The mountains are lowered. The mountains are lowered by both. The mountains are lowered by both down wasting, मतलब down cutting, and back wasting. Back wasting. Height, see, यहाँ से this rocks will start falling and accumulating. So height has been lowered. अब यहाँ से this rocks have started falling. So obviously ये भी पीछे चला गया. So both down wasting and back wasting. What? That is the deviation from his original cycle. Otherwise we would not have studied it. Had he had not talked about back wasting, we would not have studied it. Desert landforms mein scrap cannot form without back wasting. He has to bring it the back wasting here. Next point. In the summer season, due to the evaporation of water, due to the evaporation of water, wind erosion dominates, resulting into loosening of the soil, by rill and gully erosion. In fact, if you look technically, Davis ka arid cycle is more clear, more easy to understand than the normal cycle. Proper एक point बताया उसने. अब देखो, river has already broken the rocks, there is formation of soil. As there is a formation of the soil particle will become loose. The wind is flowing with high speed and therefore the loosened soil particles will be carried by. As it is carried by, rills बनेंगे. अब जब भी बारिश होगी तो rill को और enlarge किया जाएगा और वो बन जाएगी गली. Ultimately, all this broken rock material will start falling downwards. Fine. So thus in the youthful stage, next point. Thus in the youthful stage, there are two zones created. Thus in the youthful stage, there are two zones created. First, the zone of degradation, which occurs at the mountain tops. The zone of degradation, which occurs at the mountain tops. And second, the zone of aggradation. Zone of aggradation, which causes the formation of alluvial fans. which causes the formation of alluvial fans. Is it same or different now from his earlier cycle? Earlier cycle में alluvial fans are formed in which stage? In the mature stage. यहाँ पे in the youthful stage. Over the period of time, several alluvial fans will coalesce. To form bajada along the foothills of the mountains. To form bajada, बस इतना ही लिखो. To form bajada. Understanding what is the difference between bajada and alluvial fan? बड़ा alluvial fan को desert में कहा जाता है bajada. Is it not similar to King का concept of pediplanation? Fine, so you can draw this diagram if you want. These circles are holes just to show that there will be erosion and down wasting. These are seasonal rivers. Can I continue? Youthful stage में ही लिखना. At the center of a bajada, at the center of a bajada, there is playa, there is a playa lake, Can you see playa lake in between? Fine, at the center of bajada there is a playa lake. Playa lake means, don't write. Playa lake means, will now the speed of river decrease or increase? Decrease. The speed of the wind will increase or decrease? Flat landform है as compared to the decrease. Water body से आते ही wind की speed और कम हो जाएगी. Fine. So as a result of this, wind will start depositing. That is the next point here. ये सब explanation अगर समझ में आ गया तो ये points समझ में आ जाएगा. Therefore, sand dunes start forming at the end of youthful stage. Sand dunes start forming at the end of an youthful stage. Fine. Bracket में एक चीज just for your reference. In the normal cycle of erosion, maximum reduction of relief occurs in the mature stage. यहाँ पे relief already youthful stage में कम हो गई है, ये याद रखना. Unlike normal cycle of erosion, relief has reduced in height in the youthful stage itself. That is what you have to write down is, unlike the normal cycle of erosion, where reduction of the relief occurs in the mature stage, where reduction of the relief occurs in the mature stage. In the arid cycle of erosion, maximum reduction of relief occurs in youthful stage. Mature stage. Mature stage. The water basin, the basin or the bajada, एक ही बात है basin और bajada. Basin or bajada increases in size, extending upslope, due to the extension of bajada, there is a recession of the mountains. Recession of the mountains. Tell me, have you understood this point? इसका मतलब है ये माउंटेन अब पीछे पीछे चला जाएगा. क्यों? क्योंकि this will keep on enlarging. There is a recession of mountains. Understood? As a result, there will be further decrease in the relief. As a result, there is a further decrease in the relief and narrowing of mountain water divides. Forming steep-sided ridges. The deflation of the winds. Becomes active. सबसे पहले सैंड ड्यून्स बनाए उसने, अब क्या कह रहा है? Deflation of the winds become active. The deflation of the winds become active and gives rise to deflation hollows. Understanding the diagram? What is happening? Bajada, which was here, now has increased in size. Obviously, there will be Bajada in between. See, choice is yours. Two-dimensional भी बनाना आसान है. You just have to make these areas, fine. But अगर जब two-dimensional बनाओगे, then make it as in a single column, जैसे हम दिखाते हैं. Youth, mature, old age. That is, combine these three diagrams into a single diagram. That is why I am making it one below one, so that you will be able to make that single diagram. See, king is not wrong. King just took his idea और इसी को king ने नाम दिया pediplanation. ये 1905 में आया था. किंग ने इससे भी लेट दिया था एरिड साइकिल ऑफ इरोजन. Can I continue? What will happen in the old age? Landform will further keep on reducing, fine, due to back wasting. ये नीचे गिरते जाएगा. Over the period of time, this parts will become very small. They will be carried by the winds and they will form sand dunes. Fine. Deflation यहाँ पे शुरू हुआ, that is गड्ढा बनाना शुरू हो गया. Deflation will be the most active process in the old age, and the entire landform will be converted into a peneplain, having hills which Davis calls as Inselbergs. Which Davis calls as Inselbergs. समझे? Which Davis calls as Inselbergs, not as monadnocks. Monadnocks are due to rivers. Inselbergs are due to deserts. But this Inselbergs are comparable to monadnocks of the rivers. मतलब ये भी rounded है. समझे? नाम है Inselberg. What is the difference between Inselberg and monadnock? Inselberg is sharp. Monadnock is round. Davis कहेगा the end stage of the erosion. ये erode हो के ये rounded हो जाएगा. These are Inselbergs which are similar to the monadnocks of the peneplain. Similar to monadnocks of the peneplain means they are having rounded tops. Nothing else. Fine? So old age. Due to the progressive decline of highlands, due to the progressive decline of the highlands, the entire landform is converted into flat surface. Don't write with the word peneplain abhi, मैं end में दूंगा. Having some of the residual hills, having some of the residual hills This residual hills, known as Inselbergs, are similar to monadnocks in this stage. Deflation by the wind is most active. Deflation by wind is most active. Deflation by the wind is most active. This flat surface is known as desert peneplain. This flat surface is known as desert peneplain. This flat surface is known as desert peneplain. This flat surface is known as a desert peneplain. This free face. So if you look at the Savindra Singh ka diagram, though we cannot reproduce that diagram very properly, Savindra Singh के diagram में deposition बढ़ते गया है as the stages have increased. What are these red color lines? Bar charts, sand dunes. This is how the entire landform will be reduced. Following it, quickly revising. Finish drawing the diagram. Quickly revising what has happened here. Semi-arid region, intermittent rivers, wind and river is both together. Youthful stage में block mountains and basins. Physical weathering से there is a formation of alluvial fans. Alluvial fans फिर बढ़ेंगे, there will be formation of bajada. Fine. Mature stage में bajada increase होगा by both down cutting and back wasting. Back wasting है इसीलिए mature stage में there is a free scrap. Getting it? Unlike Davis. Davis ने कभी इसकी बात नहीं की थी. But यहाँ पे back wasting है. That is parallel retreat is there. And ultimately the entire landform bajada becomes very very bigger. Old age में there is a decrease in the height. Deflation starts in the mature stage. Deflation is the most active in the old age, and the entire landform is reduced. So just like Penck, just like King, and unlike Davis, mature and old age में कुछ नहीं हो रहा है. पहले स्टेज का ही कंटिन्यूएशन है. ये जनरली किंग में ही देखने मिलता है. डेविस का तो ओरिजिनल साइकिल ऑफ इरोजन में मैच्योर स्टेज टोटली अलग है, यूथफुल स्टेज इज टोटली डिफरेंट एंड ओल्ड एज इज टोटली डिफरेंट एंड देयर आर सो मेनी लैंडफॉर्म्स. यहाँ पे ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. गेटिंग इट? कंक्लूजन. In the recent years, there has been increasing shift from the Davisian concept. There has been increasing shift from the Davisian concept towards the epigene cycle of erosion, towards the epigene, E-P-I-G-E-N-E, epigene cycle of erosion, or the cycle of pediplenation of king, or the cycle of pediplenation for the by king. Which is dominated by free face and scrap retreat or parallel retreat. Free face and scrap retreat or parallel retreat. Fine. So, can you tell me the, will you first try writing, फिर ही डिस्कस करूंगा मैं. पहले घर पे जाके लिखने की कोशिश करो द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द नॉर्मल साइकिल ऑफ इरोजन एंड द एरिड साइकिल ऑफ इरोजन, फिर मैं डिस्कस करूंगा. एंड वी कम टू द लास्ट पार्ट ऑफ जियोमॉर्फोलॉजी which is bit tough. Why it is bit tough? Because it is a periglacial cycle of erosion. That is, it is the periglacial landforms. वो इसलिए भी tough है because unlike, except for Savindra Singh, no book has mentioned it, and Savindra Singh has given that in very very complicated manner. Fine. अब हम इसमें से, see we cannot go, there are some areas जो हमें छोड़ने पड़ेंगे, या फिर सम एरियाज जिसके परफेक्ट आंसर नहीं बनेंगे. उसमें से एक है पेरिग्लेशियल लैंडफॉर्म्स. विल ट्राई टू, मीन्स व्हेनेवर यू आर स्टडिंग द पेरिग्लेशियल लैंडफॉर्म, कैन आई रब दिस डायग्राम? We will try to focus only on some of the short notes which will come from the periglacial landform, जिसमें से पेल्टियर की cycle of erosion is one of the easiest. Fine. So the short notes are basically on Pingo, cryoplanation, surfaces, या जिसको हम कहेंगे in environment ecology section as Paleoarctic climates, and lastly on So before I begin this cycle of erosion and this entire landforms, these are the parts, Pingo, yeah, इसके लिए there is only one good book and that is Rupa Made Simple. That is, उसमें periglacial landforms are given in a much better manner. So सबसे पहले, what do you mean by the climate that is tundra? What is tundra type of a climate? क्या होता है in the tundra type of climate? Most of the land is covered by snow. उसके बाद temperatures are very less. उसके बाद दो vegetation, ऐसा नहीं है. Vegetation of the tundra तो हम पढ़ते हैं. Dense नहीं होगा, sparse vegetation. But there will be very less species. एक species नहीं होगी, 5 species है उसमें. 4 lichens, moss, that is what we will call them as the earliest part of vegetation. Environment ecology में, if you have remembered for GS, if you have done ecological succession, उसमें climax community and pioneer community है. So इसमें there is a dominance of one pioneer community. Fine. अगर ये है तो what is the difference? What is tundra? Glacial or periglacial? What is Arctic? Ice cap. बर्फ है. Glacial. Fine. What is tundra? Is periglacial. Periglacials कहाँ कहाँ है? In many parts of the world, including Greenland, Iceland. Glacial कहाँ है? Greenland, Iceland. ऐसे कैसे? Interior parts are glacial. जहाँ पे maritime climate है, this is periglacial. So periglacial is still from this region till this is the periglacial climate. Getting it? उसके नीचे ताइगा, evergreen coniferous forest. So from Iceland, you can say from the tip of an Iceland till 66.5 degree north and 66.5 degree south, 60 to 66.5 degree north and 60 to 66.5 degree south is a region which is known as periglacial, which is slightly different from the glacial. That is, in the glaciated region there is huge amount of ice cap, but in the periglacial region the upper portion is ice and the lower portion is again ice mixed with soil or rock, and ऊपर का portion is also ice mixed with soil. The only difference is Arctic में this is permanent, in the periglacial this will start melting, and because this starts melting यहीं से problem शुरू होता है. क्या problem शुरू होता है? As it starts melting, lower layer is exposed. Because the lower layer is exposed, वहाँ पे the lower level is exposed, so वहाँ पे during the winters there will be frost weathering. Frost weathering will break the rocks. As they break the rocks will have different shapes, and हमने क्या लिखा था? Pattern ground. As the ice will melt, and with the coming up of the winters the ice will start, यहाँ पे lake बनेगा. Fine, in the depressions. As the lakes will start again with the coming of the winters, सबसे पहले ऊपर का layer will melt, will freeze when the winter season will come. The entire water body will not freeze. The upper layer will freeze because it is exposed to the cold climate. यहाँ पे snow भी freeze हो जाएगा in the soil. यहाँ पे snow will freeze in the soil, but the water may not freeze so easily. Water has a greater amount of specific heat. So water will take time to get frozen. As the water takes time to get for freezing, ये part freeze हो गया, ऊपर का part freeze हो गया, ये part freeze हो गया. So what will happen? Due to freezing, there will be expansion in volume. Expansion in volume. So ये area जो contact में आ गया, ये freeze हो गया, पानी कम region में trap हो गया, फिर से freeze हो गया. ऐसे there will be, can I say, progressive freezing of this ground? It suddenly freeze नहीं होगा. So can I say पानी को दबाया जाएगा from all the sides, and because of this water will try to come up. As the water will try to come up, when the water gets totally frozen, वो ऊपर आ जाएगा, resulting into formation of hills, hill like shape जो ice से बना है. And with the coming up of summers, ये sediments dry हो जाएंगे, water evaporate हो जाएगा, फिर से lake नहीं बनेगा. So these hills are known as pingos. Fine. So सबसे पहले we will do the characteristics of the periglacial climate. अभी तक कभी नहीं लगा था till the time that question came कि periglacial भी पूछेगी UPSC, because periglacial as such is not present in all the books, plus it is not that important. It is present in Rupa, it is present in Savindra Singh ka only geomorphology, it is not even present in physical geography of Savindra Singh. So what you should do here, should you read Savindra Singh as a reference? No, you will get more confused. See, these are the questions जो blue moon में एक बार आते हैं. So if your luck is good, they will never come. But if the luck is bad, so out of 20 marks, worst case scenario कितने marks का आएगा? 20. 7 तो मिलने चाहिए, इसलिए हमारे पास ये है. अगर आपने बहुत अच्छा डायग्राम वो सब बनाया तो 10 भी मिल सकते हैं. 10 के ऊपर तो मुश्किल है. Fine. So these are the periglacial. Means they will ask you a question on pingos. You should be able to write something on the pingos. They will ask you a question on conglifluction and how it is different from solifluction. So you should know what is at least conglifluction. Solifluction पता ही है, avalanche, mud flow, fine. So पता होना चाहिए conglifluction क्या है. So periglacial climates. And why it is present in the Savindra Singh? Because Savindra Singh has worked extremely hard on the periglacial climate. He is the person who has worked on the periglacial climate. So periglacial regions. For your reference, you can go through Wikipedia also for the periglacial climate. बहुत ही simple language में Wikipedia ने explain किया है periglacial climate. So periglacial regions. The periglacial regions are those regions of the world which has permafrost, soil, permafrost, P-E-R-M-A-F-R-O-S-T, permafrost soil. Remember, don't go by the English word permafrost, matlab permanently frozen. In fact, this is a soil which is not permanently frozen. I also don't know why it is known as permafrost. Fine? But permafrost does not mean permanently frozen. Technically, it means permanently frozen, but permanently frozen is glacier, not permafrost. These are the regions which are to the periphery of the glaciers. These are the regions which are to the periphery of the glaciers. Periphery. इसीलिए नाम है periglacial, याद रखना. Periphery of the glaciers. In North America, maritime zones. Maritime zones मतलब coastal regions of Iceland, Scandinavia, Alaska, and the regions of Himalayas or any mountains, the regions of mountains between 4,500 to 5,000 meters. Between 4,500 to 5,000 meters. देखो, ग्लेशियल एक्सट्रीम क्लाइमेट है, ये फर्क है. रशिया हैज एक्सट्रीम क्लाइमेट्स और रशिया में आइस कैप्स है, ग्लेशियल है. रशिया में पेरीग्लेशियल रीजन्स नहीं है. दिस आर, देखो इन सिंपल वर्ड्स पेरीग्लेशियल रीजन मतलब आपको अभी समझ में आएगा जहां जहां इंडिया में स्नो लेपर्ड मिलता है. दिस आर द पेरीग्लेशियल रीजन्स. स्नो लेपर्ड डज नॉट लिव एट द ग्लेशिएटेड रीजन. अगर होता तो स्नो लेपर्ड वुड हैव फाउंड इन द आर्कटिक रीजन आल्सो. वो सिर्फ कजाक सेंट्रल एशिया में और इंडिया में के आसपास क्यों है? बिकॉज ही लिव्स इन द पेरीग्लेशियल क्लाइमेट. फाइन. बट अनलाइक ज्योग्राफी ऑप्शनल, बाकी के सब्जेक्ट्स में टुंड्रा एंड ग्लेशियल आर यूज्ड इंटरचेंजेबली. These regions are also known as tundra regions. These regions are also known as tundra regions. Full stop. और ये सबसे important line है. If you understand this, you will understand periglacial. This region is characterized by seasonal This region is characterized by seasonal intense freezing. During the long winters. during the long winters, and seasonal thawing. Thawing matlab melting. You cannot write here melt. Ice will freeze and thaw. Fine. Glacial will melt. And seasonal thawing during the short summers. Underline long winters and short summers. Characteristics of periglacial climate. ये क्वेश्चन डायरेक्टली आ सकता है. Characteristics of a periglacial climate. जैसे आ चुका है characteristics of the karst regions of the world. So there will be a question. There can be a question on the characteristics of the periglacial regions. First, क्या क्या होता है in the characteristics? सबसे पहले mention करो area, location. You already know the location. So the first point will be location. I am not dictating again the same point. Fine. Second point will be the climate. See, in the karst we said limestone topography surround in the regions of water. यहाँ पे topography does not play an important role. Climate. This region experiences annual range of temperature between -15 to 4 degrees Celsius, but sometimes can increase up to 24 degrees Celsius. Sometimes can increase up to 24 degrees Celsius. I am reading something from the Savindra Singh. You will understand why the question has come. Peltier presented his model of periglacial climate in 1950. Singh, R.P. Singh presented his periglacial cycle of erosion in 1971. Savindra Singh presented his periglacial cycle of erosion in 1972. It is difficult to define the periglacial climate. Because Peltier has given. I can understand क्यों हो रहा है ये, क्योंकि you will understand. Peltier has given the periglacial climate का definition in 1970s as the periglacial climates have come into existence due to global warming. उससे पहले periglacial climate थे ही नहीं. This have come into existence, means there was periglacial climate, but इतने ज़्यादा बड़े नहीं थे कि this should be the focus area of the studies. But now due to melting of ice caps and glaciers, many climates are becoming periglacial. Fine. एक famous scene है USA का, in which the stones have been arranged in such a way कि ऐसा लगता है aliens ने आके arrange कर दिया. Generally it is a start of any horror movie. There is a farm in which the stones have been arranged in such a manner. एक किसी pattern में stones ने arrange किया. Have you seen that scene? पता है ये scene? There is a famous region, देखना, most spooky or most ghost inhabited places in the world या most alien topography in the world. ये first photo आएगा. Historical कुछ नहीं है इसमें. हाँ, अगर if you have seen that documentary तो फिर वो तो देखने का नजरिया है, means like किसी ने मूव किया या जो एलियंस को सपोर्ट करते हैं एलियंस ने लाके रख दिए एंड वहाँ पे लैंड हुए थे. राइट. एक्चुअली दिस आर नथिंग बट पैटर्न्ड ग्राउंड ऑफ द पेरिग्लेशियर क्लाइमेट. इट इज टोटली नेचुरल. सो दिस आर द रीजन्स विच वेर वंस अंडर द एविडेंसेस ऑफ ग्लेशिएशन इन द प्लीस्टोसिन आइस एज. अब नहीं है वो पास्ट पेरिग्लेशियल क्लाइमेट. राइट. सो दैट इज वाई. सो ये एक्चुअली ये इतने आवाज क्यों हो रहा था क्लास में? आइस इज मेल्टिंग. So the continents are moving. Fine. and therefore isostatic equilibrium will be disturbed. Getting it? So that is why the periglacial, ये इसीलिए periglacial पे फोकस है, इसीलिए 2013 से ही periglacial पे क्वेश्चंस आने लग गए and glacials पे क्वेश्चंस आने लग गए. Right? So the characteristics, third characteristics, the summer is short. This is very important characteristic. The summer is short. Why, of around 2 months, but have very long winters, 8 to 10 months, but have very long winters, 8 to 10 months. So which is longer? Winters. Fine. अगर summers long होते तो entire soil would have melted and फिर बन जाता taiga biome. But because the summer is short, only the upper layer of the soil is melted. नीचे का layer of the soil still has ice. इसलिए permafrost. Permafrost soil means never the top soil. Which soil? The subsurface soil. Top soil will melt. And therefore, the most important characteristics of the periglacial is the presence of permafrost zone. The top soil experiences thawing. The top soil experiences thawing during the short summers. But the subsoil is permanently frozen. In the bracket, permafrost zone. The thickness of, or the depth, not the thickness, the depth of the zone of thawing, can be between 1 to 2 inches to 15 feet. That is why this diagram does not have a single layer, ऊपर नीचे. It can be 1 inch की भी thaw हो सकती है, then also it is periglacial. 15 feet भी thaw अगर हो गई तो this is periglacial. But the lower layer will always be frozen. And इसी को हम कहते हैं टुंड्रा. जब ये पूरी की पूरी मेल्ट हो जाती है उसको हम कहेंगे ताइगा. फाइन. उसके ऊपर टुंड्रा, उसके ऊपर आइस कैप्स, उसके नीचे टेम्परेट. टेम्परेचर इज डिक्रीजिंग, उसके बाद टेम्परेचर इज इंक्रीजिंग. दिस इज अ वेरी कॉमन डायग्राम. इस चैप्टर का डायग्राम है नहीं, ये चैप्टर नंबर 4 का डायग्राम है. बट weathering is also going on decreasing. Can I continue? Next important characteristics of periglacial is presence of numerous lakes. Presence of numerous lakes. Due to? हाँ, एक रीजन है. दूसरा, as this region is permanently frozen, जो भी water है उसका downward movement is stopped, and therefore ground water का टेबल यहाँ पे हमेशा ऊपर रहेगा. Getting it? Winters में upper layer will get frozen, this will get frozen. अब हो गया ice. During the summer season, once water forms, हमारे यहाँ पे भी if the water is forming, water will easily seep in through cracks and it will form a ground water. But यहाँ पे ground water होगा नहीं, because of the movement of the ice will stop the movement of a water downwards, and therefore ground water कम होगा पर lakes ज़्यादा हो गए. surface water ज़्यादा होगा, ground water कम होगा. tropics में ground water ज़्यादा है, surface water कम है. Getting it? Presence of numerous lakes because the permafrost soil impedes, impedes, impedes means resists. Permafrost soil impedes the downward movement of water. Impedes the downward movement of waters. Similarly, roots are also superficial. That is, they do not penetrate deep. Roots are also superficial. Suppose यहाँ पे एक tree है. Obviously, the tree will be coniferous in shape. They will not have very deep root system. Why? Because नीचे क्या है? Frozen soil, जो बहुत hard हो चुकी है. Fine. Imagine अगर आपने स्टील का डब्बा रख दिया फ्रीजर में और 2 महीने बाद याद आया कि डब्बा था, तो has it become very hard? So this has been occurring from the generations, from thousands to lakhs of years. Obviously, roots cannot penetrate. Application: biogeography. This soil is known by some different name. Fine. Next, कौन सा वेदरिंग विल बी एक्टिव, कौन सा एक्टिव नहीं होगा? केमिकल वेदरिंग विल बी एक्टिव. फिजिकल वेदरिंग समर्स में ओनली टू सर्टन लेयर, बट फिजिकल वेदरिंग में ग्रैनुलर वेदरिंग, ब्लॉक डिसइंटीग्रेशन या फ्रॉस्ट वेदरिंग. फाइन. Obviously, frost weathering will result into shattering, block disintegration. That is the chemical weathering is minimum or in fact you can even write 0, क्योंकि at such a low temperature chemical weathering हो नहीं सकता. Chemical weathering is minimum, but this zone is dominated by frost action. Frost action causing either block disintegration on the surface, देखो, either block disintegration on the surface, they will break as a big blocks, याद है block disintegration of the surface, or enlargement of cracks in the subsoil. Enlargement of the cracks in the subsoil. Have you seen in slow movement how water freezes? कभी देखा है slow video how the water freezes? पहले ऊपर layer of the water will freeze when it comes in the contact with the cold layer. फिर that ऊपर layer will freeze the subsequent layer which is in the immediate contact. उसके बाद नीचे का layer will keep on freezing. So imagine करो कि water ऊपर से freeze हो रहा है, और जब पूरा water freeze हो जाएगा तो पूरे soil के ऊपर कितना pressure आएगा? फाइन, रॉक्स के ऊपर कितना प्रेशर आएगा? बिकॉज आइस के बाद देयर विल बी इंटेंस प्रेशर, एंड इसलिए यहाँ की सॉइल बहुत ज़्यादा सीजनल प्रेशर डिक्रीज इंक्रीज डिक्रीज इंक्रीज, इसलिए द सॉइल इज एक्सट्रीमली चर्न्ड. चर्निंग मीन्स व्हाट इन सिंपल लैंग्वेज? क्या बनता है चर्निंग से? चर्निंग से क्या बनता है किचन में? छाछ बनता है या घी बनता है चर्निंग से. सो सिमिलरली चर्निंग मीन्स कंटिन्यूसली राउंड मूवमेंट या कंटिन्यूस दबाना. आटा churning, that is also a kind of a churning. So similarly यहाँ की soil is extremely churned. Because this soil is extremely churned, understand what is going to happen now. This soil becomes extremely churned, upper layer of the soil becomes very very thin. As soon as the summer में the upper layer will become will thaw, ये soil नीचे चली जाएगी, and ऊपर का region, जब soil हट गई, ऊपर के region में कुछ भी soil नहीं बचेगा. उसके 2 reasons है. Because there will be frost and block disintegration, so the slopes will be very very steep because big blocks will fall. Fine, understanding? Just try to imagine, because किताबों में ये कुछ नहीं है. Getting it? Just try to imagine, otherwise you won't be able to write an answer. And इसमें अगर समझ में आ गया तो खुद बिना पढ़े आंसर लिख सकते हो. Too much pressure, increase, decrease, increase, decrease. Rocks will be under too much pressure. They will start breaking into soil. Soil will be very very thin. बड़े बड़े ऐसे गोले नहीं बनेंगे, sands नहीं होगा, very fine soil. As soon as the ice melts, चला जाएगा during the summer season. Due to alternate freezing and melting, जो rocks soil में convert नहीं हुए, उनमें cracks आएंगे. As soon as during the summer season, due to the melting of ice or due to the thawing of ice, the cracks will enlarge and they will start falling as big blocks. Because they start falling as big blocks, the speed of a thawing ice या melt water will increase, and therefore it will take away all the sediments, and फिर बचेगा only at the highland region a bare rock without any sediment. Fine, समझ में आ रहा है? This feature is known as cryoplanation surface. मैंने आपको 3 short notes दिए हैं इसमें से. Pingo, cryoplanation and patterned ground. Getting it? Patterned ground कैसे बनेगा वो over the period of time मैं बताऊंगा. But understood what is this cryoplanation surface? Fine. The problem is what I'm dictating is a mixture of 3 books, and Savindra Singh is my again base here. But Savindra Singh में जो किसी और टॉपिक में दिया है वो मैं आपको कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स में लिखवा रहा हूँ. That is why I'm saying don't read the book. You will get more confused, but try to understand in the class. And we will require 45 minutes more for this topic. It is tough. That is the end of geomorphology. We'll start with oceanography tomorrow. Fine? Understood everyone? So आगे का point. Due to freezing and thawing, soil and the rocks are exposed to intense churning, mixing, and heaving. Churning, mixing and heaving. What do you mean by heaving? That is निकल फेंक देना, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन का ही है, बट बड़े बड़े ब्लॉक्स को थ्रो करना इज हीविंग. This gives rise to very distinct landforms, such as pingos, patterned ground and cryoplanation surfaces. Pingos, patterned ground and प्लेनेशन इरोजन सरफेस. मैंने आपको इरोजन सरफेस में बताया भी था, सिर्फ लिखाया नहीं है. प्लेनेशन, पेनेप्लेन. क्रायोप्लेनेशन caused due to ice. And cryoplanation surfaces. अब सी अगर क्वेश्चन अगर ऐसे आता है, प्रोसेसेस दैट डोमिनेट इन द पेरिग्लेशियल लैंडफॉर्म, डोंट वरी अबाउट द endogenetic processes. Obviously endogenetic processes are known as secular forces because they will not distinguish on the basis of climate. Fine. So obviously they are referring to exogenetic processes. So you can take down the periglacial processes. The periglacial processes are determined by intensity and the frequency of freezing and thawing of soil. Intensity and the frequency of freezing and thawing of soil. This processes also contribute to the mass movement. This processes also contribute to the mass movement. देखो mass movement will be easy. Why? क्योंकि नीचे का लेयर कभी हिलेगा नहीं, तो ऊपर का लेयर मेल्ट हो जाएगा and therefore avalanche will be very common here. This processes also contribute to the mass movement. And the last point, wind is an important agent of transportation and deposition. That is, wind is an important agent of erosion. Next paragraph. The processes can be classified as follows. The processes can be classified as follows. Frost shattering or congalifaction. UPSC will not ask you frost shattering, it will ask you write a short note on congalifaction. Shattering मतलब टूट जाना. Fine. Next. Frost heaving. देखो हर एक प्रोसेस एक लैंडफॉर्म है तीनों में से. फाइन. सो लैंडफॉर्म ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है. फ्रॉस्ट हीविंग और क्रायोटर्बेशन. टूटना फ्रैक्शन. फाइन. हीविंग थ्रो होना या नीचे से ऊपर आना, क्रायोटर्बेशन. एंड लास्टली कॉन्ग्लीफ्लुक्शन. कॉन्ग्लीफ्लुक्शन क्या है? So what is solifluction? Mud flow, land flow. When the land behaves like water, उसी का नाम in the periglacial climate is conglyfluction. That is conglyfluction when the sheets of debris, sheets, S-H-E-E-T-S, sheets of debris move down the slope similar to river on the land. Similar to river on the land. In the recent terminology, the word conglyfluction has been replaced by, in the recent terminology, the word conglyfluction has been replaced by jellyfluction. हाँ, जेल की तरह, इसलिए jellyfluction. First we'll write about the frost shattering. Let me explain you this entire part and then you will be able to understand the terminologies. Frost shattering जो हमने अभी तक पढ़ा है, water will go inside the cracks, enlarge the cracks, and as a result of this, big rocks will break away. No problem here. But if this is our individual rock, जरूरी नहीं हमेशा joints are vertical. Joints can be horizontal also. So because of this, water will get inside these horizontal joints, and when it freezes, it will enlarge the joints. It will enlarge the joints, and when it melts, वो और नीचे चला जाएगा. उसके बाद winters में और ज़्यादा enlarge हो जाएगा. And as a result of this, during the summers, ice may get accumulated here. During the winters, ice will get accumulated. It will break this rock, and during the summers, very fine sediments are deposited like this. बाकी का rock बचा हुआ है, but ये sediments टूट गए. हमेशा parallel to the slope. इसको हम कहेंगे ice lenses. अगर बहुत ज़्यादा ice lenses हो गए, fine. Whenever solifluction is occurring, see I am combining the last one. Whenever the solifluction is occurring, rock के आसपास का debris will be removed by the water. Rock will remain. Rock के आसपास का debris will be removed. Rock will remain. ऐसे बहुत जगह होगा, and this will give rise to, ये जो circle है वो rock है, बाकी के जगह debris has been removed. So this is which ground? Patterned ground. This is how the patterned ground is formed. Patterned ground, not carrying the laptop. Patterned ground. Ice lenses first has broken the, ये natural है, man-made नहीं है. Fine, किसी ने जाके वहाँ पे tiles नहीं लगाई है. This is natural. So this patterned ground is formed due to solifluction and the conglifluction also. Patterned ground. If there is a grass, fine. ऐसा लगता है this is a man-made thing, but it is not a man-made thing. It is a example of a frost weathering. Fine. So these are the two things which are to be remembered. Surprisingly, largest amount of patterned ground surface is not on Earth. It is on Moon. क्या पता लगता है इससे? There is an ice on the Moon. Moon has water. Getting it? But it may be in the solid form. कौन सा part of the Moon? The part which never faces the sun. So where is our Chandrayaan making a landing? South Pole. We are not able to go to the dark pole, dark side. वो सिर्फ China has been successful. But South Pole से जाके पीछे से हम जाएंगे. Fine. So obviously budget, we have the technology, we don't, maybe we are not having the resources, क्योंकि उस साइड पे जाने के लिए you require more petrol, more energy, more thirst. So understanding, हम ईंधन बचाने की कोशिश करते हैं. We are not like USA. एक राउंड में ही भेज देगा. हम पहले ग्रेविटी को यूज़ करेंगे, ग्रेविटी से घूमेंगे, फिर इस पे जाएंगे. इसलिए ग्रेविटी मूवी बनाने में खर्चा ज़्यादा था, उससे 75% लेस खर्चा मंगलयान को लगा था. If you remember, Gravity movie is a movie of Hollywood. उसके 25% कॉस्ट में हमारा मंगल मिशन हुआ था, मार्स मिशन, बिकॉज वी यूज दिस टेक्नोलॉजी. फाइन. एंड उस साल, दैट इज व्हेन डिड मंगलयान केम, 2 years बैक, उस साल द ऑफिशियल वर्ड टू एंटर इन द ऑक्सफोर्ड डिक्शनरी वॉज जुगाड़. दैट इज द इंडियन वे ऑफ डूइंग थिंग्स. फाइन. So this we told what the world what is जुगाड़, and you have a case study on the जुगाड़ also in the GS paper. इसलिए तो जुगाड़ ये word GS में भी आया था. So be open minded, मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ वही कर रहे हो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल आज के इसमें मैंने ये नहीं पढ़ा, पर एज अ स्टूडेंट मैं आज के हिंदू में से एजुकेशन में से व्हाट आर द मिथ्स ऑफ द स्कूल एजुकेशन ये भी पढ़ता, और मेरे को ऐसे के लिए 3-4 पॉइंट्स मिल जाते, मेरे को सोशल इश्यूज के लिए 1-2 पॉइंट्स मिल जाते, गवर्नेंस के लिए 1-2 पॉइंट्स मिल जाते. फाइन. सो ऑलवेज बी ओपन माइंडेड वाइल स्टडिंग. डोंट जस्ट कीप ऑन फोकसिंग कि हाँ इनसाइट ने इतने दिया मैं इतना ही कर रहा हूँ. उससे एग्जाम नहीं पास होगी, उससे आपकी प्रीलिम्स पास हो जाएगी बट मेंस नहीं क्लियर होगा उससे. फाइन. ऑलवेज बी, दिस इज द time when you are generating the content, फिर you will reproduce the content next year. जितना ज़्यादा जनरेशन उतना क्वालिटी रिप्रोडक्शन, जितना क्वालिटी रिप्रोडक्शन उतना ग्रेटर चांस ऑफ क्लियरिंग. So I am discussing something regarding the Congley fraction. Congley fraction. The Congley fraction includes freeze-thaw action, which causes expansion and the contraction of the cracks, as well as chemical weathering during the summer season. Understanding why chemical weathering? Because when the ice will melt, then the chemical weathering during the summer season. Though this process is occurring everywhere in the well-jointed rocks, operate everywhere in the well-jointed rocks, but it is the most significant process in the periglacial climate. But it is the most significant process in the periglacial climate. Due to the continued freeze-thaw action, patterned ground surface or stone polygons are formed. Stone polygons. उसके शेप के हिसाब से मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स द शेप इज पॉलीगोनल, इसलिए स्टोन पॉलीगॉन्स. इस पूरे सरफेस का नाम है पैटर्न ग्राउंड, उस स्टोन का नाम है स्टोन पॉलीगॉन. फाइन. इजी, लिखने की जरूरत नहीं कि क्या होगा, सेडिमेंट्स कैसे टूट जाएंगे, वो सिर्फ मैं एक्सप्लेनेशन कर रहा हूं, बट याद है कैसे. नेक्स्ट, फ्रॉस्ट हीविंग. Frost heaving is associated with, heaving मतलब फेंकना, याद रखना. फाइन. Frost heaving is associated with bulging or vertical thirst of coarse grain sediments फाइन ग्रेन सेडिमेंट्स तो इजीली फ्रीज हो जाएंगे. कोर्स ग्रेन ही है जो फ्रीज नहीं होंगे, वो ऊपर 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 आते रहेंगे. जैसे जैसे नीचे का आइस फ्रीज होते जाएगा, ऊपर का पानी बचा रहेगा, वो ऊपर 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 आएंगे. फाइन. फ्रॉस्ट हीविंग helps in one patterned ground. फिर से patterned ground. And secondly pingo. Third conglifluction or jellyfluction. Jellyfluction is easy. The process of removal of debris during the thawing phase of the ground is known as jellyfluction. It is most active during which season? It is most active during the transition phase of winters to summers. Summers में तो आइस बचेगा ही नहीं, जो कुछ है वो मेल्ट हो गया. It is most active during the transition phase of winters to summers. But unlike the solifluction in the tropics, the rate of jellyfluction is very less or very slow. The rate of jellyfluction is very slow. And it helps in the formation of cryoplanation surfaces. Last point, other than these processes, both fluvial and aeolian processes are active. But हमने लिखा है dominate कौन सा है? एओलियन मतलब विंड, डोमिनेटेड बाय एओलियन. फाइन. सबसे पहले मैं आपको बताऊंगा व्हाट इज क्रायोप्लेनेशन. Very flat region near to the ground is what is known as an cryoplanation. Sorry, not nearer to the sea level. A surface, sea level. Due to frost weathering, huge masses of blocks will fall down into the sea. As a result of this, there will be, dhire dhire se, once this is formed, there will be scrap retreat. As the scrap retreat will occur, maybe this entire landform, due to the retreat of the scrap, ये ऐसे बन जाएगा. अब ये जो बड़े बड़े ब्लॉक्स है, ड्यू टू फ्रॉस्ट वीविंग, ड्यू टू सॉलिफ्लुक्शन एक्सेट्रा, ये बड़े ब्लॉक सबसे पहले छोटे बन जाएंगे और छोटे ब्लॉक्स ड्यू टू सॉलिफ्लुक्शन चले जाएंगे. And they will be deposited in the sea or in the water carried by the fluvial processes or carried by the wind, because they have become very small. As a result of this, a very flat surface having a free scrap very near to the, not nearer to the sea, away from the sea level, is what is known as an cryoplanation surface. बहुत ही आसान है. This is one cryoplanation surface. This is one cryoplanation surface, और ये प्रोसेस चलता रहेगा till the time the entire landform does not become very near to the sea level. Once it becomes very near to the sea level, अब water and wind is no longer an important agent of erosion. Water and wind is an important agent of erosion जब तक उसकी स्पीड ज़्यादा है. अब वो नहीं है, इसलिए अब वो डिपोजिशन करना शुरू करेंगे, और डिपोजिशन करने के बाद मे बी देयर कैन बी ए पिंगो, or there can be patterned ground etc, but not a cryoplanation surface. Getting it? क्या याद रखना है? Parallel retreat. डेजर्ट में हमेशा पैरेलल रिट्रीट होगा क्योंकि ब्लॉक डिसइंटीग्रेशन होगा, चाहे वो हॉट डेजर्ट हो चाहे वो कोल्ड डेजर्ट हो, क्योंकि दोनों में डेली टेम्परेचर चेंज बहुत ज़्यादा होता है. डेज आर वेरी वेरी हॉट, नाइट्स आर वेरी कोल्ड, इसलिए फ्रीज एंड थॉ एक्शन विल ऑकर इवन इन सहारा. ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम सैंड फॉर्म हो जाएंगी. जैसे ही सैंड और लोएस बना, इट विल बी कैरिड बाय द wind and water, and therefore a flat surface which does not have any sediment is what is known as an cryoplanation surface. Why the name planation? Because it is a flat. Why the name cryo? Because it is found in the cold regions, nothing else. Fine. So cryoplanation surface. The periglacial landform caused due to different combination of different processes, having flat mountain summits, comma, bench-like terraces, separated by steep scrap, are known as cryoplanation surface. These surfaces have very thin layer of debris. Full stop. Understanding the diagram? Understanding the diagram here? Cryoplanation surface का. So ये cryoplanation क्यों है? Why it is not an example of second or polycyclic relief? Why it is a cryoplanation? I can't say that this is formed due to, this can be uplifted peneplain also, this can be also an uplifted peneplain. Why we are not saying, हम कैसे confidently कह सकते हैं कि this is not an uplifted periplane, it is not caused due to river rejuvenation, this is not a nick point, it is a cryoplanation surface. कैसे? Last point क्या लिखा है हमने? There is a thin layer of debris. अगर river है तो there will be thick layer of sediments. Getting it? यहाँ पे there is a very very thin layer of sediments. इससे पता लगता है that these are not the erosion surfaces associated with the polycyclic relief. Fine. Don't draw this diagram. और चलो you draw the diagram. Smooth ice का movement, scratching. पहले ब्लॉक डिसइंटीग्रेशन, उसके बाद ब्लॉक डिसइंटीग्रेशन के बाद सेडिमेंट्स ड्यू टू इंटेंस प्रेशर ब्रोकन इनटू फाइनर सेडिमेंट्स, और जैसे ही थॉइंग ऑफ द आइस, और अगर आइस थॉ भी नहीं हुआ तो विंड. I've given you the other name also of a cryoplanation surface. Sorry. Can I continue? Formation. The formation was given by R.S. Waters. The formation was given by R.S. Waters. वाटर्स ने कहाँ का फॉर्मेशन दिया? ग्लेशियल का. ऐसे याद रखो. आरएस याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं. फॉर्मेशन वाज गिवन बाय वाटर्स. स्टेप मतलब पॉइंट नंबर 1, इनिशियली ice starts accumulating in small depressions along the hill slopes. Ice starts accumulating into the small depressions along the hill slopes. By the process of nevation, मतलब enlargement of gaps, कुछ नहीं, सिर्फ इनके words difficult है. शार्प अंदर जा रहा है, जो हमने कहा frost weathering, वही. By the process of nevation and Congley fraction, मतलब frost weathering, Congley fraction, block disintegration occurs. Block disintegration occurs giving rise to formation of step-like terraces, giving rise to formation of step-like terraces. Why step-like terraces? Imagine this is a mountain. Fine. यहाँ पे गर्मी थोड़ी ज़्यादा होगी, यहाँ पे जितना आप ऊपर जाओगे उतनी वहाँ पे colder climates. So जहाँ पे ये होगा वहाँ पे chemical weathering will dominate. Because the chemical weathering will dominate, there will be finer sediments which will be removed away. Less finer, coarse, more coarse, and इसीलिए जो fine sediments है they are easily removed and therefore step-like formation. Fine. लिखने की ज़रूरत नहीं इतना. We have used the two words conglifraction and nivation. Nivation is this separation. Over the period of time, the rock debris is removed. The rock debris is removed. And hence the cover of debris is very less. As the debris is removed from higher to lower slopes, a new layer of rock is exposed for frost weathering. Giving rise to free scrap. Giving rise to free scrap. Giving rise to free scrap. Understanding? Next point, change the paragraph. Some of the larger rocks get collected at the lower part and they are arranged in vertical layers. Stacked upon each other, मतलब एक दूसरे के ऊपर रखे गए हो. Such landforms are known as tors. Such landforms are known as tors. Such landforms are known as tors. किसी ने एक दूसरे के ऊपर रॉक्स रखा हो ऐसे लगता है. Though it is very very controversial कि ये कैसे फॉर्म हुए, but this is the most accepted formation of the tors. They will never ask you the formation of the tors, so don't worry. आपको सिर्फ एक पॉइंट रखना है, because it is impossible कि कोई भी agent of weathering and erosion will keep the rock one upon each other. इससे ज़्यादा controversial is the formation of erratics. I did not tell you what is erratics, but erratics थोड़े अलग होते हैं. They are similar to the tors कि they are stacked, मतलब एक दूसरे के ऊपर, but erratics ऐसे हो सकते हैं. ऐसे रॉक का फॉर्मेशन हो सकता है, and this is all hanging in the air, right? Or it can be just like tors. इसका एक्सप्लेनेशन इज वेरी इजी, लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है, करने की भी जरूरत नहीं है. इन द ग्लेशिएटेड all the sediments are taken together when the huge glacier is flowing. Due to the pressure of the glaciers, ये rock एक दूसरे को चिपक जाते हैं. And when the glacier melts, वो rocks उधर रह जाते हैं, पानी निकल जाता है. And therefore erratics. This is what is torus. Pingos. Pingos. Pingos are hills. Pingos are dome-like mounds or hills. Dome-like mounds or hills, which occur in groups or may be isolated. Which occur in groups or may be isolated. Their average diameter is 300 meters. The average diameter is 300 meters, while the height is 60 meters. Height is 60 meters. See now, Savindra Singh mein there are 3 pages of pingos, which is not at all required. सिर्फ इतना याद रखना, water is there, नीचे subsoil is there, water का upper layer starts getting frozen, fine, नीचे का soil starts getting frozen, therefore ice will expand. Ice as it expands, it will push the water upwards. जितना ज़्यादा ice expand होगा, जितना ज़्यादा freezing होगा, उतना ज़्यादा ice will expand, उतना ज़्यादा पानी का level ऊपर आ जाएगा. पानी ऊपर आने के बाद वो पानी कैसे ऊपर आएगा? ऊपर का लेयर भी आइस है, याद रखना, बीच में पानी ट्रैप्ड है, नीचे भी आइस है. During the winters it keeps on expanding and therefore upper layer of the ice will come upwards. उसके नीचे there will be water. When the winters will become, there will be enough ice, entire water will get frozen into ice. So ice के स्तूपा बन जाएंगे. Stupa means slow hills of ice. फिर debris will get accumulated over there, and as the debris will get accumulated, जो low level of the ground था, अब ground का level ऊपर हो गया because of the debris getting accumulated, and ये बन गए पिंगो. अब जब summer आएगा तो जो water जो which was the surface soil, because of the accumulation of the debris, it has become now the subsoil, and the subsoil never melts in the periglacial regions. Getting it? या नहीं समझ में आया? I'll show with the diagram. Lake, subsoil, water. With the coming up of the winters, this will start freezing, this will start freezing, this will start freezing, and obviously this is frozen. Because of this entire region starting to get freeze, water will take time to get freeze. Latent heat ज़्यादा है water की, specific heat ज़्यादा है. Water has tendency to retain the heat. So because this has started to freeze, it will expand. This has started to freeze, it will expand. As it expands, water level will be pushed upwards. ऊपर का layer क्या है? It is already frozen. So this has now expanded. Water का level will be rising upwards. अब when the winters will become very severe, this entire layer will freeze. Because of frost action, there will be large accumulation of debris. Right? There will be accumulation of debris. 8 महीने की winters है, हमारे जैसे 2 महीने की winters नहीं है. So the debris will become very thin over the period of time. And as soon as the summer will come, ये लेयर मेल्ट हो जाएगा, ये लेयर वैसे ही रहेगा, बिकॉज व्हाट इज पेरिग्लेशियल, सब सॉइल डज नॉट मेल्ट. यहां तक ये था सरफेस लेयर, अब क्या बन गया, सब सॉइल का लेयर, एंड दिस इज व्हाट इज द पिंगोस. दिस इज जस्ट वन पार्ट ऑफ द थियरी, बट हमें थियरी नहीं करनी है, हमें सिर्फ लैंडफॉर्म्स करना है. पानी का लेवल क्यों ऊपर आ रहा है, बिकॉज वाटर इज पुशिंग फ्रॉम, आइस इज पुशिंग फ्रॉम ऑल द साइड्स. सो इसलिए हमने क्या लिया, लिखा था पिंगोज आर फॉस्ट ड्यू टू फ्रॉस्ट हीविंग, ऊपर आना. गेटिंग इट? सो नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, see imagine, I can imagine how mentally you must be tired, because मैं ही खुद थक गया हूँ आधा घंटा ये पढ़ा के पेरिग्लेशियल. You have to imagine a lot. This is too tiring. Means periglacial is extremely tiring. Hill slopes वो सब कुछ भी नहीं है. Things बहुत आसान है, but to imagine, make you imagine that, to tell you that, because we have never experienced such things, right? Because हमारे इसमें ये रीजन में कोई रहता नहीं है, unless there is someone in the class who is from Kargil, and nobody else will live in this region. Getting it? That is why it is periglacial. It is so tiring. Means एक बार डेविस पैंकिंग फिर भी आसान है. So next point, pingos are formed due to frost heaving. Pingos are formed due to frost heaving, which causes the ground surface to rise upwards. Which causes the ground surface to rise upwards. Next line, the ground surface rises upwards. Ground surface rises upwards because of lateral, because of increasing lateral pressure. Lateral matlab sideways. Because of increasing lateral pressure exerted by freezing water, exerted by the freezing water during the winters. Due to this, lacustrine sediments means sediments in lakes. Due to this, lacustrine sediments are forced upwards and the water gets trapped. Water gets trapped between the top layer of ice and the permafrost region. Between the top layer of the ice and the permafrost region. As the layer of the sediments increase, a pingo is formed. Fine with this? So I'll continue tomorrow. I'll start with the first part of oceans. इसके ओशन विशन तो बहुत आसान है, मतलब एक फॉर्मेलिटी है पढ़ाना, इसलिए पढ़ाता हूँ, नहीं तो मेरे हाथ में होता मैं कहता ओशन विशंस खुद ही पढ़ लो, मैं आपको सिर्फ कोरल रीफ्स का फॉर्मेशन पढ़ाऊंगा एंड टाइड्स की थियरीज पढ़ाऊंगा. In fact, I should party today because I have completed geomorphology. And you should party when you will finish studying and writing this geomorphology. Fine? Geomorphology is like a mountain, जो बोझ हल्का हो जाता है. मेरा पीठ दर्द भी शायद कल से ठीक होना शुरू हो जाएगा. This is too much of a pressure. आज मेरे को मीटिंग में जाना. आई एम लिविंग जस्ट. यू वेट फॉर टिल थर्सडे. एक बार मेरा फिजियोथेरेपी वो सब होने दो, देन यू कैन. हाँ, यस, ये एरेटिक्स है या पैटर्न ग्राउंड. यस, ब्लॉक डिसइंटीग्रेशन. ये पैटर्न